Well, some of you predicted it right. We're going to go to Los Angeles and you're going to get negative Freeman once again. Well, I mean, these last two games in Los Angeles, they have been duds. They have not been fun to watch. We're trying to stay up late night and watch these games, and the Brewers have laid 2 eggs so far in Los Angeles and are in danger of getting swept. Hopefully, Corbin Burnes can save the day on Thursday and save this series. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. We're coming right back and talking about that. We'll talk about one boring of a game on Wednesday night and a few other things as well, including Rowdy Tellez and the best part of my night. All that ahead.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I don't mean to sound so negative coming out of the gates here with this. I don't get as many of that from people on Twitter anymore. I used to get a lot of it, back in May. Oh, geez, can't you talk about the positive things of the Milwaukee Brewers? This. I'm not launching a PR firm here for the Milwaukee Brewers. Our favorite sports team, I'm not launching that. No. When they're bad, they're bad. And it was another bad one on Wednesday. I cut them some slack Tuesday. Okay. With, not a lot of loud contact by the Dodgers and all that. But, this 2 games in a row, you make your own breaks in baseball. You do. You make your own breaks in everything. And you know what? The bottom line, the Brewers, I don't want to hear anything, but the Brewers are hitting these hard hit balls, and yet they're not following in. And the Dodgers have got all these seeing eye ground balls. I don't care. A loss is a loss. They've lost 2 straight in Los Angeles. Hi, everybody. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. All you everydayers out there, cutting this one, doing this show in the middle of the night. So some of you guys will have some fresh content when you go to work on Thursday morning, or if you're getting up north and you're fishing or whatever, listening to us on the dock, whatever. Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. You everydayers out there downloading our podcast on Google, Spotify, Apple, all the major ones. I list them all on my Twitter account, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND. And of course, you get our show every day on YouTube. Go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, hit that subscribe button once you get us, and hit that bell. It's going to alert you every time we get an episode. We download the episode Monday through Friday. Please follow us. And I always read your comments, and we're going to read some Twitter comments a little bit later on. Some of you guys are pretty funny tonight. Read some of your comments. We'll talk through this together because, there were not a lot of meat and potatoes with these last 2 games. And what's the storyline? Well, every time the Dodgers hit the ball, the ball found a hole. And the Brewers, I know all that happens, but you make your own breaks, okay? And then I saw a few things out there, the small market, large market thing. And I went over that the last time the Dodgers were in Milwaukee playing the Brewers. We went down that road, and baseball just realizes that they're never going to cave into the Players Association. This is something we're just going to have to live with. But I see the Gus Varlands of the world coming out there and shutting down the Brewers. And Clayton Kershaw was on the hill tonight, making his, $57 million or whatever it is. And the Brewers, they can't even get this financing. Everybody on the same page with financing, okay, to build a few new parts of our new stadium, to refurbish a few things. And then we're getting beat by a guy making $40-50 million a year, whatever it is, Kershaw. I don't even know the exact number. It's probably up there in that category for Clayton Kershaw. But hey, did the Brewers in? I saw on Twitter, his lifetime record against the Brewers is now 8-5. But since 2013, his ERA against the Brewers is like 2.13. So it's like in the last 10 years, he's dominated. But early in his career, he didn't. But yep, a whole lot of nothing. The Brewers did not get the job done. Somebody posted out there about Joey Wiemer. Joey Wiemer, do we cut him a lot of slack because he's a rookie? I think so. Because Corey, I almost called him Corey Hart. That's what he got. He reminds me of that, of him. Joey Wiemer goes out there. He made an error that should have been an error. That was a hit tonight. But he's been pretty good defensively. Okay. He's not winning a Gold Glove. I know some of you thought that he was going to win a gold. He's not winning a Gold Glove. But yeah, Wiemer, he could do no wrong to get out of that lineup with Craig Counsell. Never a day rest. He can have 3 strikeouts of the game, put him right back. It's like Joey Wiemer has got a permanent spot in that 9th spot in the order. Or, then if he has a couple of nice days, if he has a couple of solid days, he's moving up in the order to 2nd or 6th. Let's say he has 3 hits in a game. Then he's moving up. But today he was 8th in the order. Brian Anderson had another great day. 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts. Wiemer went 0 for 2. He's batting .215. I don't care where you're batting in order. .215 is .215. I know you're a rookie, but that's just bad. Okay. I don't know. It's just hard to wrap my arms around a guy hitting .215 this deep into the year. And Counsell talks about running him out there, and he's getting a lot of big league experience. My gosh, I hope it pays off. If running him out there every day and he's going to hit .215, okay, get pretty good defense in the outfield, but the end game is an all-star, then okay, I can live with that. But if we look down the road and we see, man, why were we playing Corey Hart, Joey Wiemer every day when he was hitting .215? So yeah, Wiemer, never gets a day off. They just run him back out there. The Brewers will never be LA. That's just the way baseball is. They'll never be LA. The Dodgers will, if they need some fix, they want to sign. They need a first baseman. They're going to go out there and give $400 million to Freddie Freeman. We're going to be with Rowdy Tellez's and Carlos Santana's of the world, who are at the end of their career, or Santana is at least. It's just never going to happen. The best part of these last 2 days, I'm going to tell you about that. And I think some of you have shared in that too. It just still kind of gives me chills. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. This show is brought to you in part by FanDuel. FanDuel. This episode brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com. Locked On today to get started with FanDuel. I failed to introduce myself again. Chuck Freeman, first-year host of Locked On Brewers, longtime sports talk show host in Milwaukee, sportscaster, Channel 4, Fridays, talking Brewers with you. And appreciate everybody joining us every day on Locked On Brewers. That game ended tonight, and I was like, boy, now I got to do I'll be honest. I was like, now I got to do a half-hour show on a game that was so boring to watch. It was so not fun to watch tonight. There's been some bad ones this year, but this one ranks right up there. And last night's does too. Just no drama, nothing. Wade Miley did not pitch well. Nothing happened to me in this game that intrigued me one bit. But something did. That didn't include the game that is Brewer related. I'll tell you about that here in a little bit. A new sponsor, Nutrafol. Nutrafol. You don't have to choose between better hair growth and your health. Nutrafol provides a whole body health approach for men that promotes healthier hair, no drugs, no compromises, just better hair. Men think losing their hair is inevitable. It's just not the case. Take control of your hair's failure with Nutrafol science, backed with hair growth supplement for men. 80% of men will experience hair thinning in their lifetime. It's normal, but it doesn't have to be your fate. You can get ahead of thinning. You can get ahead of hair, and you can quit the thinning with Nutrafol. Men tired of weakening or thinning hair? Do you want to reach your full hair potential? Leading hair growth supplement is Nutrafol. It'll improve your hair health. Take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering all our listeners $10 off your first month subscription, free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com/men and enter the promo code LOCKEDON. Find out why 4,000 healthcare professionals recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com/men, Nutraful.com/men, and hit the promo code LOCKEDON. And it'll tell you everything you need to know. And if you're watching me on YouTube right now, look at the bottom of the screen right there. That's what you need to look up on the internet to get $10 off your first month subscription. Nutrafol.com/men, and it is going to be your way to healthier hair. Chuck Freeman here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. And the Brewers and Dodgers will wind up their series in Los Angeles. Why is this a 9:15 start or 9:10 start on Thursday? Why is it when you got a night game on Friday? We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But the Brewers and Dodgers, Sirius XM, the SXM app, search Brewers. You're going to get all 162 of the Brewers baseball games, the hometown broadcast, Sirius and Sirius XM. Search Brewers and Dodgers 9:10 in the last game of playing the Dodgers. And we're going to probably see the Dodgers in the postseason. We definitely will see the Dodgers in the postseason. There's no doubt about it, because the Brewers are going to get through that wild card game, and they're going to see the Dodgers in the best of 7. They're not catching the Dodgers for that second seed. Dodgers have ripped off 10 in a row right now. The Brewers aren't catching them. I thought maybe there could be a chance when the Brewers were like 3 games behind the Dodgers, 3 or 4 games behind the Dodgers a few weeks ago. They're just not catching them. Just not at all. All right, we come back. I'll tell you what my favorite thing has been the last 2 days regarding the Milwaukee Brewers. That's next here on Locked On Brewers. Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Welcome back. My name is Chuck Freeman. Thank you for joining us. Follow us on Google, Spotify, Apple, all your platforms for downloading podcasts. Go to my account, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND, and I'm going to lead you in the right direction. Anytime we download the podcast, we put it up on Twitter. Follow us on YouTube. Go to YouTube. Go to Locked On Brewers. Punch in Locked On Brewers. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. It's going to alert you every time we drop an episode. Big Woo going yard. I cannot get enough of that highlight. That highlight has been circulating so much here, and it's making me feel better. In 2018, Big Woo going yard on a Friday night in the playoffs at it was Miller Park at the time. At Miller Park. Big Woo going yard off Clayton Kershaw. I've probably watched it maybe 20 times. I was on my couch tonight. Got back from golf before settling in, and was like, man, I want to see Big Woo's home run again. And just to see him go to YouTube, not now, but later on when you get a chance, if you haven't seen it, you watch him round first base, and he's turning and he's looking back at the dugout. I was like, man, off of Kershaw. And I was not too far. I was covering the game. I was sitting in the right field bleachers. Well, because that's where our media seats were. That's where they put the overflow media, in the right field bleachers in the lower deck, which is fine. I don't care. But it was not too far from us. And that ball was launched by Woody. And I was like, oh my God, is that going to go off the wall? It goes over the wall. And that was one of the loudest I've ever heard Miller Park. It was deafening in there. It was. That was so cool. Big Woo going yard. And just to see his enthusiasm rounding first base. That was so cool. Left-hander against Clayton Kershaw. And Kershaw was mystified at Woodruff going yard. All right. For like 3 minutes right there, I started to feel good again about the Milwaukee Brewers after watching Big Boo's home run. Miley did not pitch well. Craig Counsell was asked after the game, Craig, were those two catchers' interferences, did they lead to this loss? His response would have been my response. We scored one run. We scored one run. Scored one run. How many times? I mean, he's at wit's end of it. I know as well. At wit's end. We scored one run. Yeah, two catchers' interferences. JD Martinez, get back in the batter's box, my friend. How come nobody's talking about, why even draw the batter's box lines if he's going to be a foot out of the batter's box? I don't get it. Selective officiating again. These umpires, they call what they want to see. Chris Taylor, a home run. God, I hate him. Can he just play on a different team? I mean, the only time I hear about Chris Taylor ever is when he's playing against the Milwaukee Brewers. I watched a lot of baseball, but I feel like the only time the guy ever makes any headlines or does anything is against the Milwaukee Brewers, whether he's making a catch or whatever. Two guys have had great numbers against Wade Miley. I saw this, I believe, on Adam McCalvy's count. Mookie Wilson and Freddie Freeman going into I think after tonight, or it might have been going into tonight. Those two guys combined 21 of 47. Mookie and Freddie Freeman, 21 of 47. Those two are combined 4 for 5 with a walk. But still, one run, as Craig Counsell would say. Hey, they had great numbers against Miley, but one run. Monasterio, don't get picked off of first base. He's been picked off, but there was a line drive wandering off of first base. I don't know where he's going, but he's had a few of those base running mishaps this year. And he's had a fine rookie season. Do I need to qualify that? I guess. But first and second, let's face it, the Brewers probably weren't going to score anyway. Rowdy Tellez, a walk-off home run, a 3-run blast, and Nashville gets the win tonight. I can only imagine what was going through Rowdy's mind. Here, was in the majors hitting 35 home runs, and now he hits a walk-off in Nashville on his rehab assignment. He launched one. Can you get too excited if you're a major leaguer and you're down at AAA and you've been in the majors for a few years and you hit a walk-off home run? Now, the highlight I saw on Twitter it just showed him rounding the bases and rounding third. Didn't show him high-fiving anybody, but I wonder what his level of excitement was. Keston also went yard, his 19th. I feel like Keston, I told this to Bart Winkler yesterday or the other day on this podcast. I said, I believe Keston's got 65 home runs because I think every time the Brewers have a game and the game is over and then you go to Twitter, there's always a Kest Daddy home run. He's got 19 of them. I must catch everyone on Twitter. And they're good launch home runs too. But still, no, they're not calling him out. He's going to stay down in AAA. The Cubs won on a walk-off home run. They were down by 2 runs in the 9th inning, and they rallied to win. I saw the highlight briefly before coming on. They won 4-3 over the White Sox. And 2.5 games, they're out. And Cincinnati also won. So Cincinnati and Cubs both gained a game on the Brewers. Both had lost last night, the Cubs and Cincinnati, but they won on Wednesday night. And the Brewers have dropped 2 in a row. But the Reds and Cubs both picked up a game. We return. We'll get some of your tweets. We'll talk about the matchup for Thursday night. Corbin Burnes trying to save us from a sweep of the LA Dodgers. Can't have that happen. I told you that a long time, well, a few days ago, at least I told you. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, Sleeper. Another great sponsor of us here on Locked On Brewers. You think you can hit 8 players, a combination of 8 players of what you might think they might be able to do at the plate or on the pitching hill. Do you think what player can hit a home run tonight? Opposing pitcher? We sure do. On Sleeper, you could swing for the fences 100 times the payout. All you got to choose between 2 or more players. And just like that, you can select more or less on their stat categories: home runs, strikeouts, hits, and more. Get your pick right, and you could win big. Dynamic payouts are live. Use the promo code Locked On. You'll get a $100 match on your first deposit on the Sleeper app. Terms and conditions apply. Sleeper's terms of use or details currently in operation over 30 states. Check out Sleeper right now. But what you want to do is Sleeper offers you so many different ways, so many stat categories that you could choose from when you're trying to win on fantasy. Maybe you think a guy is going to have 3 strikeouts in a night. Okay, you probably get pretty good odds on that. Or a pitcher or whatever. Again, you go from 2 to 8 players, and you can combine that, and you can make yourself some big-time bucks, because let's face it, sometimes these games are predictable. These players are predictable. Use the promo code Locked On. You'll get up to a $100 match at your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms for details. Currently in operation over 30 states. That is Sleeper. Swing for the fences with Sleeper. More stat categories to place on contests like home runs, triples, stolen bases, all that and more. And safe and fast withdrawals. That is always the key. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. Brewers and Dodgers 9-10 with that first pitch coming up on Thursday night. Sirius and Sirius XM. You get the game. You get all 162 of Brewers baseball. And why are they playing a 9-10 start? Brewers have a night game in Los Angeles Thursday night, 9-10, which is usually getaway day. I remember when the Dodgers were here, it was an afternoon game, and that final game of the series, you're supposed to play, especially going on the West Coast where it's 9-10. So here's what's going to happen. The Brewers are going to go to Los Angeles. They're going to play this game, and then they're going to take a flight to Dallas. So they'll get in about 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and then have to be at the ballpark at 1. And I know you're saying, well, they're playing a game. It's the body clock, and it usually affects them on Saturday. So it'll affect them for Saturday's game. I think Saturday's game in Texas is an afternoon game. But that's just one more thing the Brewers don't need to deal with. How is that game in Los Angeles not an afternoon game, or at least a late afternoon game? 9-10 start on getaway day? Are you kidding me? Major League Baseball. God, you guys just continue to just baffle me. All right, let's read some of your tweets here. Some of you all were pretty funny. Some of you guys were swearing up a storm. Harley says, 2-10 against the Braves and Dodgers. Not going to get it done. This team is clearly not ready for prime time this season. Needs some major offensive upgrades this off season. Absolutely. JRH3 says this is not even the same contingent as the Dodgers and Braves. This is the Brewers are not even on the same continent as the Dodgers and Braves. What a joke. Baseball sucks. No, baseball does not suck. Jody I better not read that. Greg says, no, the offense is getting old. Our pitching has to be perfect to win. Byron, for tonight's recap on Locked On Brewers, Byron says, just go over the 163 highlights. Well, that's game 163 highlights. That's going to make me feel really good, too. In addition to watching Big Woo go Yahtzee against the Dodgers in 2018. Yeah. Can't get enough. As I was telling Bart again the other day, right here on Locked On Brewers, I had a tear in my eye covering that game in 2018 when Keon Broxton had the ball. I'm going to lose my emotions again here. Keon, when that ball went in the glove, and I still see the highlight, and on the Seedling experience, and it still makes me feel great. Game 163. God, the little joys we take in the Milwaukee Brewers. Unbelievable. I wish there were more of them. Corbin Burnes starts. He was not good in his last outing last Friday, but the Brewers bailed him out and won an extra inning game, 7-6. They won that game. So he's starting. Lance Lynn, who's 9-9. Can we get to Lance Lynn? He's a right-handed pitcher. He can be had. We know that. Can we get to Lance Lynn and at least take one of this series and don't get swept and throw all the games that we won against the White Sox last week and throw them right back against the Dodgers. This is huge. This is a big game Thursday night. You can't get swept against the Dodgers. I said this at the beginning of the series. You can't get swept in LA. You can't get swept in Texas. You can never get swept. But I mean, this is August. You can't, if you're in first place, you got to salvage one of these games against Los Angeles. You do. You couldn't get the Kershaw game. You couldn't get it the other night. You played 2 bad games in Los Angeles. Let's get it, because Burnes is going to come back, give him a good one. Can we get the offense going against Lance Lynn? Thank you. We'll talk to you after the game tomorrow night, everybody. Late night, Baseball After Dark. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Have yourself a great Thursday, everybody.